This episode is brought to you by CarterComics.com. It's your one-stop shop for all your comic needs, whether it be graded or raw. Carter Comics has got it all. All you gotta do is go to CarterComics.com, fill your card up with all their amazing comics. Use the discount code FREAKNET, FREAKNET. Save you 10% at checkout. Not only on their website, but also at their eBay account. And the link to eBay can be found on their homepage at CarterComics.com. Again, CarterComics.com is your one-stop shop for all comic needs. What's up, everybody? I am Travesty.
And I'm Cartoon Joe.
And welcome back to another episode of this freaking show. It is the weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. Joe, I was going to start the show off talking about something, but we're going to get to that in a minute because I got to ask you a question that you will not know the answer to, but if you do, I'll be fucking giddy about it.
All right.
What does today and February 22nd of 2018 have in common?
February 22nd of 2018?
February 22nd of 2018. It was a Thursday, if that helps.
It doesn't. February 22nd is my mom's birthday, and tomorrow's Mother's Day, and I haven't talked to my mom yet this week, so I'm going to go with I have disappointed my mother. I don't know why you'd know about that, but...
That is not it. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know what your mom's opinion is on things, but I want you to share with everyone who's listening why we were slightly delayed longer than we were going to be delayed this morning. What happened to you that we just got done talking about?
Oh, my coffee maker was leaking.
And what did you have to do?
I made a French press coffee.
Okay. On February 22nd, 2018, we recorded a show. It was season 3, episode 7. That was titled First World French Press Problems.
Ah, fascinating.
Do you remember why it was called First World French Press Problems?
No, I assume I was making a French press coffee.
If I remember correctly, because I don't think it's in the show notes here. No, it's not. I think you had to return something to the grocery store to like Walmart.
That's right. I got 2 French press pots for Christmas, and I had to take one back to TJ Maxx, and they wouldn't take it.
Yeah, the moment you said that your coffee maker went down, you had to use the Fresh Press, not Will Smith.
I had to use Will Smith. Will Smith's my coffee maker now.
I was going to text you back like, Third World French Press Problems, and I was like, why does that sound so familiar? So between the time you text me and we started, I had to scroll all the way back to find that title.
Nice.
And it was back in 2018. I was like, well, look at that. Full circle. I was like, man, I tell you right now, if we record that show in May, I would apologize because it'd probably be my fault. Somehow 6 years ago, you made that joke. But yeah, full circle. Look at that.
Nice. What are the odds?
Which actually, now that I think about it, I think Full Circle, it was also the name of a show episode we did in season 3.
Probably.
But I do want to talk about a couple things. And first off, how you doing? It's been a minute since we got together. Hope everything's well.
Yeah, it's fine. I've been well, we can talk about it later more, but I've been working myself. I've been working out. My knees are awful. They're a wreck, and I don't know how I'm going to fix them. But
they're a wreck from working out, or
so I've been. Might as well get into it. So I've been what I started to do was I restarted the Beginner Plus DDPY series.
Awesome.
And on the off days, I started doing Couch to 5K just to, my cardio's terrible. My watch tells me every couple of months, like, hey, your cardio health is awful. And I'm like, thanks, watch. I'm working on it. Literally, it told me as I was coming in from a run the other day, and I was so mad at it. Like, I am literally doing something about it right now. Shut up. Anyway,
Is that
yeah.
product
So
placement?
I
Does that work right?
what's that? Oh yeah, there you go. Perfect. Duncan, give us money.
Sponsor us, buddy. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So yeah, so I started the Couch to 5K program. I want to get some running in. Just to I've never been a runner. I've always liked the idea of it, and I'm just thinking like, you know, with the way the world is going, it'd be good to have good cardio. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all it really comes down to. And so I bought some new shoes, and they were great. The first couple of runs, they were very comfortable. Then on the third run, my knees started to hurt. And when I started the fourth run, I made it about 15 seconds before I had to give up because my knees were hurting so bad. And I knew my form was going to be bad enough that I was going to actually hurt myself if I kept trying. And so I talked with some friends who run, and so I bought myself Asics, and they got a heel on them that's like 2 inches,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
it tilts you forward like that. And what the thing with running mechanics is that as you're moving your legs, when you go for a heel strike, which is what a lot of running shoes like encourage you to do, your leg is perfectly straight. And so it puts all the force of the impact of your foot onto your knee and your hip.
Okay. Yeah.
Whereas like my regular daily shoes are Vans, or I've got a pair of Merrell barefoot runners. And so they're zero drop. And so when you run in those, your leg actually bends, and so your muscles take all the force, right? And so basically, I've just been literally destroying my knees on every run. And in between runs, like even on yoga days, I've also been going for like a 2-mile walk in my Asics to break them in. And so literally every time I go on a walk or a run, I'm just destroying my knees and my hips. And so it's just going to take some time, I think, to let them rest and get back to being better. But other than that, I mean, I'm feeling great. I've been consistently under my calorie goal for the day by like, I shoot for about 500 on either side of whatever MyFitnessPal tells me I need. And that's without exercise. So like just the amount of calories I'm eating, I'm usually about 500 under what I need. And with the exercise, I'm getting like an extra 500 to 800 calories of burn. Haven't really lost any weight yet, but I think it's because as I'm looking at my legs, my calf and thigh muscles are coming back really fast and strong. So I think I'm putting more muscle on than I'm losing in fat, and that's okay. That's fine with that. So I'm feeling good. I'm hoping I can keep this up. I did get another notification from my watch the other day that my resting heart rate is down by about 8 beats a minute, and that's the first time it has dropped since I had COVID, and it shot up.
Mm.
So I'm really thrilled by that. It's still not as low as I would like it, but I went from around 80 beats a minute resting heart rate to around 70 beats a minute resting heart rate. So that's got to be good.
Yeah.
So my biggest motivation, honestly, is that my doctor wants me to come back to see her in like July. And if I haven't lost at least 10 pounds by then, she's going to yell at me and then probably put me on Ozempic or something. And I don't want that. I really want to lose it on my own. I don't want chemical help. So
Yeah. No, and I've always felt that same way. Like when people are like, "Oh, you should look into this surgery and you should look into this surgery." It's like I know that the surgeries do help people.
yeah.
I think what my problem has always been is like it's not that I'm excessively eating, I'm just eating the wrong things. So
Mm.
like instead of like waking up in the morning and like making like some scrambled eggs and having like wheat toast and a coffee and shit, I'll head over to McDonald's and grab a steak, egg, and cheese bagel. And like or like instead of like making a lunch of like maybe like some like grilled chicken breast and some rice, maybe some broccoli or something like that, I'll get like a Jersey Mike sandwich. So it's not that like, and even like right now, like I haven't weighed myself in a long time because there's that worry that like I screw up because there was a moment that because I got two different scales in my house. One scale goes to a certain weight,
Right.
and I exceeded that weight. So
Yeah.
now I had to get a whole new scale that goes even higher. And there was a point where I was like within like 4 pounds of that first scale.
Mm.
But now I'm worried to step back on because I'm like, I feel like it should be different. I don't know if it is or not, but it feels like it should be. But um Sunday, I'm kind of like restarting everything all over again. I'm gonna do the DDPY again, because I know it does help. I know it does. I just really gotta
Yeah.
commit to it. And
You
I
do
know,
feel legitimately good doing it. It's
yeah,
really nice, but
it is a
it's just a
commitment.
commitment, you know? I
Yeah,
mean, it's not even like it's that much of my day, but for whatever reason, I can't get myself up and doing it in the morning before work. And
yeah,
so I end up coming home and it's like, I got to do this before I eat dinner. Otherwise it's not going to feel good.
yeah.
And next thing you know, it's like 8 o'clock and I'm eating dinner and I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't like eating that late, you
I
know?
I I know, like, and I don't know. It has to be a mental thing, and again, it like I said, it is a commitment, but it's not even that much of a commitment because even doing the introductory program, it's every other day. So it's not like you have to be up every single day. It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday for 13 weeks. It's Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Except for I think like what 1, 2, 3 weeks. It's either Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, or Tuesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
So
They
it's
sneak a
not.
couple extras in there every once in a
Yeah.
while.
So it's like I know for me to get up early in the morning to do it before I have to go to work is a struggle right now. Now I hope to get into a pattern where getting like I got up this morning at 5:40 naturally without a problem. And I've been
Nice.
up since then and I've been fine. But when it comes to work, when that alarm goes off at 5:15 like we used to do, like I snooze and go back to bed until I have to wake up at like 6:15. So I think what I'm doing, like on the Monday, Wednesday, Friday weeks, I'm just going to do it on the evenings the day before. So Tuesday night, Sunday night, Tuesday night, and Wednesday night. Okay,
Nice.
I think as long as I'm working out, is better than not working out at all. And I think if I work out before bed, it might actually help me sleep better. Which I know other people like it may be like too energizing for them. I
Yeah.
think for me, if I wear myself out, I'll be fine because I'm more active and awake at night than I am during the day. Because I could wake up in the morning, jump in the shower, get my shit together, start heading to work, and I'm exhausted until like halfway through the day at work until now I'm wide awake. And then when I get home and I want to lay down, I can't fall asleep. So I'm thumbing through my phone and shit, until like 11 o'clock at night or 11:30. Till like, okay, I really gotta get to sleep. Like there is no like me just laying there and eventually falling asleep. It just does not happen for me. And
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's years of like night work that's still like in me.
Could be.
But on weekends, I can wake up in the mornings, no problem. I could, whatever. But those weekdays are a struggle. So if I do the workouts in the evenings, I think that's going to be better for me.
Nice. What does it? He says. He says, make it work for you.
Yeah, yeah,
Right. It's your program. Make it work for
mhm,
you. And
yeah,
I think that's great. Yeah.
yeah, because yeah, no, and the one thing DDP wants you to do is he wants you to do the program. And that's why there's so many different modifications for people who are at different levels of fitness. Like guys like me who are overweight, or even guys like you who are struggling with knee issues. There's modified ways of doing the yoga. You could use
Mm-hmm.
yoga blocks, you can use chairs. If you have to balance, you can balance on one knee and like slowly build yourself up. When you do what are they guys, like 6 count or whatever count push-ups, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think
Yeah.
there's 6 now, whatever.
Yeah. Do like 3 down, hold it for 3, and then sometimes 3 back up,
Yeah,
and sometimes you go into Cobra.
yeah, and you can start that out on your knees. It's fine
Yeah.
because it's like as long as you're doing something, you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple logic. And um, but yeah, I'm starting Sunday with everything. I'm gonna work more on the clean eating habits of it. I still haven't got my fridge. Thursday, I finally getting it. I finally got through that refi thing. That's all done.
Nice.
So all of my credit card balances are now zero. I got my new computer ordered. I bought all my new appliances. Everything will be here on Thursday. So that means on Friday after work, I'm going to go shopping and I'm going to focus on more clean eating. Make sure I have meats and rice and broccoli and stuff like that.
Nice.
Uh, Probably,
It's amazing how much easier things are when you have the tools to do them.
yeah, this is the first time in, I want to say 9 years, probably even more, where I could actually exhale because I'm not in this weird financial burden anymore. Now,
Nice.
I know things could happen. I know, like, like life could change in a fucking instant, and jobs could go away and everything.
Sure.
So knock on wood, it doesn't fucking happen. It happened to me in 17. It happened to me in 19. It just happens in life. But right now, I know what my bills are. I know none of them are going to credit card companies anymore. It's just my mortgage, my car, my phone, and my house. Utilities and all that shit. I know what I'm making. I know what I'm going to roughly put out there, and I know that I'm going to save money. I'm going to have a savings account that's going to have a decent amount of money in it. So when
It's a little 6-month emergency fund or whatever.
exactly, yeah. So when life like that happens, I should be okay for several
Nice.
months.
Speaking of emergency funds, did I tell you about my tax bill this year?
No.
So for clergy, we're in this weird gray space with the IRS where churches are not required to pay our Social Security on the employer side.
Mhm.
And so like we're employees on our side, so we have to pay our own Social Security taxes and things and our own taxes.
Yeah.
And then on the church side, we're also like independent contractors. And so even though I get a W-2, I have to pay both sides of my Social Security.
Well,
Maddie and I made a pretty decent amount of money last year between the two of us. And anyway, all things considered, my Social Security tax was $12,000 this year because I
now
forgot to pay it quarterly.
is that a lump sum payment now?
I had to make a lump sum payment of $12,000.
Oh.
It like wiped out our emergency fund.
Do you mind if I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Is there a worry for a guy like you who is married and thinking of having children? Is that a worry on I couldn't afford to have a child? Or is even with those expenses, that there's a financial stability in order to have a kid? Or
There
there's
is
things like that that's like we can't have a kid right now because of things like this.
there is a little worry of that. But then there's also just like you just got to do it. If you want it, you got to do it. You can't, but we do have a lot of stability too. Like looking at my church finances and stuff. Like first of all, the first thing I did after paying that tax bill was go into my QuickBooks and like remind my treasurer, like, you guys got to pay my taxes out of my paycheck.
Yeah.
Because I can't do a lump sum. This is ridiculous. I'm not doing that next year. So the job's not going away anytime soon, as far as I know. If it does go away, like the reality is I've got a master's degree. I'm highly employable. There's a lot of places I could go to for a soft landing on myself. And then Maddie, her job is in a hospital research situation, and so as long as they have grant funding, she's employed.
Yeah.
And because she's now in the side of the business that does pharmaceutical research, there is always going to be grant funding.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we're really stable on that front. It's just like for a little while there, I've had to be pulling more money out of our savings to cover my credit card bills and things just to like get ahead of it because it took so much out of my daily, whatever. And it's not like I keep things pretty broke. Any money that I'm not using, I'm putting either into savings or into my Roth IRA or into a long-term investment fund because I don't have my job doesn't come with benefits. I got to pay my own retirement.
Yeah.
On top of everything. And so like I'm in a situation where like I'm broke, but I'm not broke. And we have enough money coming in that like we're pretty stable and we'll have to adjust it, if we ever have kids or if anything changes. But it's just, I don't know. I don't like talking about money that much, but it's got to be talked about.
Yeah.
But what I don't like talking about is that like I'm in this weird, like I seem to be good at it. I don't know why I'm good at finances. I don't know if it's like watching my mom and my dad struggle for so long for different reasons. What it was, but like I've always been, and also I just don't have a social life. This is my social life is podcasting. So I don't spend any money. The most money I ever spend is either on my cats when they get sick, or like we bought the house or whatever. And yeah, so I don't know. It's just it's been tight for a couple weeks, and then hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get out of it. I also finally talked with my board about, like, they had mentioned at the end of the year last year that they wanted me to be full time. And so I bought Christmas presents thinking I'm going to be full time next year.
Yeah.
If I'm getting paid this amount at $30 an hour, or at 30 hours a week, I should be being paid this amount at 40 hours a week. So I'm going to buy Christmas presents based on that 40-hour week thing. And first paycheck in January came in, it was half December. So there's no change. Second paycheck in January came in, there's still no change. What's
So they wanted you to
plan for
bump the
this.
hours, but then want to bump the pay.
Well, that was what I was wondering about. So I ended up finally talking to my board chair about it, and a couple weeks ago. And so now we're talking about bumping my hours and my pay.
Yeah.
The problem is that, like, if nothing changes with the church's trust fund, like, I can't be 40 hours and paid for 40 hours. We're going to run out of money by this time next year. Yeah. If we change the trust, which we're working on, we'll be okay. But yeah, so I don't know. I got a lot of anxiety about that, but I also I've followed there's a pastor, he's a former pastor who now does financial consulting for other pastors and tries to get more people to do bivocational work. And pastors have a particular set of skills that make us really qualified for, like, $60,000 to $100,000 a year management jobs, and a lot of them are remote. And so he actually goes and he cultivates a list of remote jobs that pay really good money, so that pastors can be bivocational. And so, like, that's my other option, is maybe I cut my hours back to 20 or 25 and just get another remote job. Yeah. That makes ends meet. So I don't know. We'll see. We're having a board meeting on Monday where they're going to talk about it and decide. But
gotcha.
Yeah.
I know money is always difficult to talk about. Luckily for me,
it feels really weird to talk about it in a church setting, because I truly believe, on the one hand, that like I don't want to be Joel Osteen. I don't want to be one of these guys who's making millions of dollars by telling his people that if they don't give him the money, we can't do the mission of God or whatever. I think that's wrong. On the other side, thanks to my taxes, I got paid $36,000 a year for the year for a job that many times last year made me want to die because it's so frustrating sometimes, and it's so isolating, and it's so lonely.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and then you throw in the fact that, like, I've got to pay my student loans now. Thanks, Biden, you fucking dick. Thanks, Supreme Court, you dicks.
Wait, what did they do?
Well, so Biden didn't. So let's start with Biden.
Yeah.
Biden tried to do this student loan forgiveness thing.
Yeah.
But he used the HEROES Act from 2020.
Okay.
And of course, immediately the Republicans, who also can go, they can go bite a banana as far as I'm concerned. If you know what I'm saying. And I don't know why I'm suddenly censoring myself, but
I don't know, but that might be a show title, Bite a Banana.
Right? Kind of fun. Anyway,
fun fact. I've been catching up on Geekcast Live.
Oh yeah.
And not to throw your train of thought, but I'm doing it the weird way. I'm starting from the most recent because they're finally showing up on Spotify for me. They never did. So I played the most recent one, which I think it's a part 2. I think part 2 comes out today.
Yeah.
I'm kind of working my way backwards and stuff. And I never realized, like, there's like maybe like 4 or 5 times within an episode you hear GCR say, like, well, that's a good show title name. That's a good show title name.
Yeah.
But then it always ends up being a non-written down suggestion. I'm like,
oh, that's hilarious.
Like, yeah, I think maybe once, I think is when you had that, I can't remember the dude's name, but like you most recently had a guest on that was on
Jason Piles, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I think that episode, maybe it did have it. But you guys got rid of all your plugs.
Oh,
I realized
really?
that. Yeah, like at least. So I from the most recent last Saturday when I listened to down to, I'm currently listening to the episode where it's just you, Nico, and Rob. Ryan wasn't there, so maybe it's like maybe a month, maybe a month and a half. Maybe I think I
Gotcha.
listened. I think it's like the sixth episode I listened to. Because I mean, also you're only at an hour now, which I didn't realize you guys cut from like 2 hours down to an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. Um, um, but yeah, like you don't have like the
Yeah.
plug, like you do short plugs at the end where it's like, follow us on social media, go to Threadless and stuff like that, but you don't have like sponsorship plugs anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. I know we recorded them, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe Ryan has. I know Rob's been doing a lot of the edits lately, and I don't know if he has the files.
I do love how he credits himself to creating the website.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
like
He
that. I'm
did.
like,
I mean, he did.
yeah, no, and I think it's
I
funny
think it's
because
funny
like,
that we still say it. Like, we know,
yeah,
we
he's
get
like,
it. You made it. You made the
yeah,
website.
he's like,
But
go to the website I created and Violent Press that. I'm like, fuck yeah, Rob, get your shit in, man.
yeah.
Sorry. Anyway, so
All good.
Republican Supreme Court,
So
Biden.
Biden tries to forgive student debt underneath the HEROES Act.
Yeah.
Because Democrats only ever want to do things the most like middle of the road, milk toast way possible.
Mhm.
And the Republicans immediately filed lawsuits to make it not happen because Republicans don't want anything good to happen for anybody ever. Um, and well, that's not fully true, but mostly.
Can we say Republican governments? Because I do consider myself kind of Republicanish, and I
Yeah, I'm
do want
sorry.
good
Yeah,
things for
the
people.
politicians. I
Thank
think
you.
I think all the regular people of both parties want good things for everybody and just have a different idea of how they want that. I
Yes.
do not think that our government on either side represents our interests on either
Yeah.
side. And they do it and it's very much the Simpsons um the Republican National Convention, like we hate everybody, we want nothing good for anyone, and Democrats, we hate ourselves, we can't govern. Like it's
Simpsons are always calling it, man.
they
It's
nailed
money.
it. They nailed it. And just the politicians, I really feel that way about, they're both beholden to their special interests and not to the people. Anyway, so they file lawsuits to stop it. It goes up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says, absolutely not. That was not written for that. The frustrating thing is the Biden administration. So when the Higher Education Act that made it possible to give student loans out was passed, the Department of Education was given absolute authority to do whatever they want with those loans. So they could forgive all the debt through the Higher Education Act of
I'm sorry, I missed
1965.
it. Who had this authority? I missed that part.
The Department of Education.
Okay, gotcha. So the
Yeah.
colleges and people. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they could forgive the debt or cancel the debt through that if they wanted to,
Gotcha.
but they don't want to because I don't know,
wanna make
like
their money.
Republicans will be mean to them or something. I really
Yeah.
don't understand what their issue is. Well, and people have weird feelings about that, about like you have to pay it, you have to do this, and like if you look at the data, the people who most need it are people who have already paid back the entire balance of their loan
It's just now
plus tens
interest
of
and
thousands
shit.
of dollars of interest.
Yeah.
And just because they're doctors doesn't mean that like they haven't paid their loans back. They paid them back, and somehow they still have, they've paid $100,000 out of 74,000, and they still have 70,000 of debt.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. There's no reason not to cancel that. Anyway,
Mhm.
so and the other thing is that Biden could have continued to pass the exact same executive order that Trump started during COVID, extending the forbearance on the student loans.
Yeah.
But he was like adamant, like we got to get back to normal. Everything has to be normal. Normal means you're paying your student loans. And so starting in like late 2021, early 2022, I've had a $700 a month loan payment.
What was it originally?
What do you mean?
Like,
Oh,
did your payment go up or like?
no, it's exactly the same as it's always
Okay.
been.
Okay.
But
Did I?
during COVID, I didn't have to pay anything.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so we were able to buy our house because like I didn't have a student loan payment.
Yeah.
So now I've got the burden of a $700 loan payment every month, and
Gotcha.
I made $36,000 last year.
Okay.
Like
So
hard to pay my bills and have a student loan.
so during COVID when there was this
Forbearance.
forbearance. So during that time period, was your loan being paid or was it frozen? And
It
you're
was
just now
frozen.
picking up from what? Okay, cool. Did I ever explain to you what happened with my forbearance program on my mortgage?
Oh yeah, that was nuts, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, because, and for those of you who don't know, I'll just recap it real quick. In 2019, when I lost my job, I went into a forbearance program because COVID happened. And I couldn't find work. So from how it was explained to me, which technically I guess they didn't lie, I just didn't understand it, is my mortgage was frozen, and Flagstar, who owned my mortgage, who did no longer does, they'll probably buy it back anyway, so that's how mortgage companies work.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the time, they froze my program, and I was under the impression that Flagstar Bank will be paying Flagstar Mortgage, my mortgage, and then once the forbearance is over, I owe Flagstar Bank.
Right.
So, that was my understanding. So, when I went into forbearance, I owed $120,000 on my house. It was like 123 or something like that. So in
Yeah.
my mind, while I'm on the program, bank pay mortgage, mortgage drop, bank loan. The money goes
Yeah.
from here up to here. When it was all said and done,
Just what it
I
should
had
be.
to
Just
restart
tack it
my
down to the
mortgage.
end.
That's exactly. So when I restart my mortgage restarted from the exact same spot, but I now owed this much money. So a house that I bought for $148,000, I dropped down to 123. I now owed $154,000 on because I still
That's
owed the
crazy.
entire cost of my mortgage plus the money that the bank was paying. To this day, does not make sense to me whatsoever because now it feels like
Mm-mm.
I'm paying twice as much for that small period. Worst part of it all was I only should have been on that program for 10 months because that's
Yeah.
how long it took me to find a good paying job.
Right.
But because of the forgiveness programs that the government gave these banks, they kept me on it for a year and a half. Because, well, you can't do it now. We can't do it now. If we do it now, you're going to have to owe us a lump sum now. You can't do it now, blah, blah, blah. So then it ended up being a $35,000 one-time payment at the very end of my mortgage.
That's so
That
ridiculous.
that is why I finally did the refi. So,
Yeah.
um,
That's what I just hate. The house always wins, man, and it
yep,
is just such utter garbage.
yeah,
And
it,
that's why I say like I, you know, by and large, Republican politicians wouldn't want you to have any debt relief because you should just lose your house because there's free market. That's how it works. What kills me is that like Democrats are supposed to be like the compassionate mommy state people. But because there's this idea of that and they're like afraid of it, afraid of being accused of it, instead of like actually helping you, they create this program where now you're like double screwed. And it's
mhm,
just like, what? This is why people hate you.
yeah.
This is why people hate you. This is why people hate both of you.
So you said that the Board of Education got the money that they could have utilized for forgiveness. Do they say what they used the money for instead?
No, they didn't get the money. So they
Oh,
control all of the money.
gotcha.
Because they're the ones who are issuing the debt.
Yeah,
And so like here, so like if I gave you $20
yeah,
and I'm like, hey, pay me back when you can. And then like 5 months from now, you still haven't paid me back, and I just say, don't worry about it, no big deal.
mhm,
You already spent the money.
yeah,
I already spent the money. That money's just gone, right?
yeah,
I don't need it back, and you already spent it, right? That's how like they own the debt. They already
mhm,
gave the money to the colleges and paid they paid the professors, they paid the administration, they paid the overhead costs of having buildings. All of that money is paid,
mhm,
and then they sent me the bill, right? Like that's essentially how it works. Is they sent me the bill. That's my debt.
yeah,
But they own the debt. They own the servicing of that debt. They could just say, you know what? Don't worry about it. It's a
yeah,
public good for you to be a pastor
mhm,
and serve your community.
yeah,
You don't need that burden of debt. Like don't if they cancel it, no one has to pay it back. It's not
yeah,
coming out of anybody's taxes. Taxes aren't going to go up from it. Literally, they could just cancel the debt and it just goes away.
yeah. Let me ask you this question. And I feel there's a possibility we may agree on this, but I'm not quite sure. But this is
Yeah.
what I want to ask. Okay, so the completely hypothetical numbers and everything. Okay, you go to college, you get your degree, you got your master's. Let's say you have $80,000 in student loans.
Yeah, pretty close, actually.
You achieved your degree. You physically have that degree. You went through the school, busted your ass, got it all done.
Yeah.
I went to college. I got $30,000 in credit card debt. Never finished my degree. I decided
Credit
I
card,
didn't want to do it. Oh, I'm sorry. Student loan. Sorry.
Student loan. Okay.
I have $30,000 in student loans I took out to go to college. Did not finish because I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't really care. I'm done. Whatever. Do you believe that we both should have debt relief for that?
Yes, personally,
See,
because the debt shouldn't have existed to begin with.
Yeah. See, I'm opposite. I feel that if I didn't achieve what I was meant to do, then the burden of the debt falls on me because I basically wasted the money.
Gotcha.
To me, it's similar to like if you're struggling to pay your mortgage, but you're paying it every month, then there should be a debt relief to you. If I make enough money to pay my mortgage, but I'm buying like fancy shit and pissing my money away on non-essential things because I want to have nice things, I don't think the relief should apply to me. I think for people who bust their ass to achieve a goal should have that relief, and people who just, it's not that I didn't complete college because I wasn't smart enough. I just like, fuck it, I don't want to do the work anymore. In this scenario, I'm not saying real life.
Yeah.
Like, so I shouldn't reap the rewards of a relief just because I don't feel that a person like me who did that technically earned it in any way. I didn't do what you did. You deserve it. Doctors and shit like that who go through med school for what, 8 to 10 years and are doing the books and doing the
residency
tests
for another 8 to 10.
Yes, they should reap the benefits of that relief. But somebody who goes to school for 8 years, never even make an associate degree, like a Van Wilder kind of guy.
Yeah,
I don't see.
Kreischer.
Yes, I don't see how they should reap the benefits of that relief because they didn't put forth the effort into justifying the spending of that money.
Yeah, I think to me, public education or education in general is a public good.
Mm-hmm.
And so as long as you're going to a public university, public school, public program, it should be as inexpensive as possible. And so like that debt shouldn't have existed to begin with because it shouldn't have cost as much as it did.
Mm-hmm.
And so you shouldn't have had to take the loans out to begin with, is my thing.
Okay.
And so because of that, I feel like, if you, so before 1965, student loans didn't really exist because college was a public good and it was essentially free. I mean, it was.
They only paid for like housing, right?
What's that?
Then they only paid for like housing and stuff like that.
Yeah, basically.
Like the actual education itself wasn't really
that expensive.
It was
and then
food
like even
and housing and stuff.
Even as it like at the time when our parents would have gone to school, if they went to school, I know like dad went to automotive college or whatever. Like the cost of a college degree, a 4-year degree, was like the whole thing was like $10,000. So that's like $2,500 a year, and even with minimum wage at like, $2-3 an hour, like you only had to work. You could just work a part-time job and pay for school.
Yeah.
And not worry about it. And even master's degrees were super cheap up until about the 90s when I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know the full detail, but I think it was something under Reagan and Bush. They like decoupled the cost of college from basically they let universities they do this like neoliberal thing where the university has like it runs like a private business because you want it to be efficient or whatever. And so they get to charge like a private business because the government is no longer subsidizing it. And so all of a sudden tuition is skyrocketing. And now you got to work like instead of 10 hours a week to pay for your student loan or your tuition. Now it's like 40 hours a week. And nowadays Gen Zers, like they got to work like 80 hours a week to pay their tuition. They can't afford it. They have to take loans, like literally have to take loans if they want to do a 4-year degree. And the loans are higher than ever because interest rates are up. And it's just nuts. It should have just been a public good. It should have stayed a public good. And, even now it probably would still be $20,000 or $30,000. They might still have to get loans, but then they could get private loans and they wouldn't be so burdensome, hopefully. Right. Like, I don't know. It's just, It's a whole mess of things that like could have just been solved if like people weren't so afraid of socialism, which is literally just like it just all socialism is like literally like as an economic system, it just means that the workers own the businesses rather than having one business owner or a board that owns a business. Like that's it. That's all socialism is. That's all communism is. It's like instead of you having a boss who is like who own like you know you go all the way to the top of the company, somebody owns your company. The shareholders probably, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the shareholders owning the company, you own your company. As an employee, you are part of the ownership of the thing, and so you have a say in how it's run. You have a say in all of this stuff, and you know, unfortunately, we get caught up in this like you know, the Soviet Union or whatever. Their idea of communism was this authoritarian state-run thing, and now that's what we're scared of. And I totally get it. I'm afraid of authoritarianism too. I don't like it. I don't like authoritarian capitalism. I don't like authoritarian communism. I do think people should have a say in the thing that they're doing in a third of their lives, which is what if you work 8 hours a day, that is a third of your waking life. You should have a say in it. It's ridiculous that you don't. I don't know. Sorry, my soapbox.
No, I agree with what you're saying, because I think realistically, if employees own what they're doing, they're gonna apply more effort to it.
That's agreed.
You know, I know, like, I come across it in several jobs that I've been to, that some people, once they have a feeling that they're not making enough money, their efforts in their job drop. Like, well, I'm gonna work like I get paid. If you want me to work more, you're gonna have to pay me more.
Yeah, I'm gonna act my wage. A lot of kids are saying.
Yeah, and I could respect their opinion on it. I actually had this conversation with somebody like not too long ago, maybe a couple years ago. We were talking about the same exact thing. It's like, you know, it's like I could go into a work, and I'm one of those people that take pride in whatever job I'm doing.
Yeah.
Like, I've had so many different jobs in so many different industries over the course of my life, whether it be fast food or autos. It's always customer service, which I don't understand because I don't like customer service, but I'm somehow good at it. Whether it's fast food or dealerships or petroleum or whatever the hell it is, uh, I've always taken pride in the work I do, because if anything, I know for me, I'm doing a good job. Regardless of what my pay is, I know I'm doing a good job. It makes me feel better.
If I'm going to spend 8 hours a day doing something, I'm going to do it. I'm not gonna be lazy. I'm not gonna be, you know, whatever. Yeah. I'm gonna do it. I was hired for a job.
Yep. And then when and so when you come across like a guy who shows up on time, works a little bit later, does the job he's supposed to, and does it with fucking pride, and all of a sudden, like 6 months to a year later, they don't get a raise, they're making the same amount of money, even in a short time period. Like, now they're showing up a little bit later, they're punching out as soon as that clock hits a certain time, and well, why rush to get this done when I got all day to fucking do it? And it's just like, you can't justify making more money if you're not willing to show that you're worth that money, you know, because you can sit there and make $12 an hour or whatever. I don't know what fucking minimum wage is now, and I don't know what place they're paying, but whatever job is paying $12 an hour, you're making $12 an hour right now. And you go and you bust ass, and you are going above and beyond and being that guy that they need. Somebody that they can see maybe even moving up into a company someday. And then one day you're like, you know what? I'm tired of making 12. I want to make 13. And then you go up to what we're looking at.
Sir, so I was looking up minimum wage in Illinois because I was curious.
Oh, gotcha.
I thought it is up to $12 or
like $12.50 or something
like that. Oh, 13. 14. It's $14 an hour now, January 1st, 2024. What I didn't know is we have a young worker minimum wage of $12. I've always thought, I don't know what that means. I'm going to go look
at the under 18.
I guess so. Yeah. I've always felt like that's how it should be, is like, you know, if you get emancipated, you should be jumped up to the regular minimum wage, I think. But like, generally speaking, you become
financially responsible for yourself.
Right. Yeah. But if I've always thought that, like, I don't agree with the idea necessarily of tiered work. You know, you should be paid what the job is worth, whatever. But also, like, we have to deal with reality, and you know, reality is reality, and the situation we're in is the situation we're in. And so I've always felt like, why not have a 2-tiered minimum wage? Like, if you're a kid and you're not paying your own bills, you don't need to be making a minimum living wage that somebody who's paying their own bills should be making.
Yeah.
Like a minimum wage should be a living wage, unless you don't have to pay your bills. And then it's like, so I don't know. I've always felt like there's that.
No, it makes sense.
There's a balance to be struck, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
When I started working, when I had my first actual paycheck job, it was at 15 years old, and you had to get it signed by your parents. You had to get it was a work permit, pretty much. You had to get it signed by your parents saying that they're okay with you working. You had to get it signed by the school for some fucking reason, saying you're okay to get. I think you actually had to get the permit through the school for some reason. I don't understand it. But I was a bus boy, and I think I was making like $4 something an hour or some shit.
Oh, God, because you were you're like paid as a waiter.
Yeah, well, it's because, and also you couldn't work more than like 12 hours a week or something like that at under 15 years old. Maybe it was under 20 or something like that. Now, when I turned 16 and I got my first job at McDonald's, I think at that time regular wage was like $7.25, but because I was under 18, I made like $6.50 or whatever the fuck it was. I can't remember exactly. Which I was fine with. And then when I turned 18,
always been that way?
At McDonald's it was. I don't know about any other places. But I mean, my numbers could be skewed a little bit. I know that at 18 there was a certain wage, and under it there was a different wage. And maybe it was only like 75-cent difference or dollar difference, but I know there was a difference. Because I also know when I went to work at the Sears warehouse, I started out at $8 an hour in 2007, and then when I left in like 2011, I was making like $12 an hour. So it's like fucking obviously everything's so much more now. But I took pride because it didn't matter. I at that time, other than living under our parents' roof, I didn't have rent, but I still had to pay my own car insurance. I still had to pay for my own cell phone. I had to pay for my own gas.
Sure.
So I needed to work that job. And then when I turned 18, I still didn't have rent, but now I had to take responsibility for like one of the utility bills or something like that. That was my rent.
Gotcha.
Until I got my own apartment and I moved out. And by the way, fuck people who are charging people $1,400 for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Oh, absolutely.
How horrifying is that?
Yeah.
Like I paid $600 a month to live in my 2-bedroom apartment, and now like Derek, who got his own apartment, I think it's maybe a 2-bedroom, is like almost $1,600.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Ours was what were we paying? $1,575, I think, for the 2-bedroom apartment in Rogers Park.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, people can sit there and say, like, well, you work closer to the city, but that's not the fucking city, and that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. Oh no, we were in the city when we were paying that. When we were out of the city, when we were in Forest Park, I think it was $1,100 a month.
But that's still
it's still pretty high.
So much fucking money, like how many units are in that apartment? 4.
At Forest Park.
Let's say the $1,100 one.
Yeah. There were 3 on each, so 6.
Okay, so was it $6,600 a month?
Yep.
So dude's making what, $72,000 a year, give or take, or a little bit more, or definitely
give or
more,
take.
like what's like almost $80,000 a year.
Yeah, probably paying probably 5,000 or 6,000 on taxes. So, yeah. God, yeah. So if he was making 80, probably making 74 after taxes. Yeah.
I kind of want to buy an apartment complex now. I mean,
right?
Fucking A.
It's lucrative. The problem is that you're up against like investment companies and stuff who can just buy it in cash. So, but yeah, I thought about it. when we were in Rogers Park, the guy who owned our apartment was trying to sell it, and the people who bought like half the building.
Really?
Hmm.
Yeah. What the fuck was it? I'm not sure if it was BlackRock, but I know BlackRock is always an example of like of like investment companies are like buying people's shit out, and like they're doing it like during COVID because they were on the belief that as soon as, even when the stuff is lifted and the payments have to start over again, that they won't be able to afford it, and now they own it.
Yep.
It's horrifying.
Freaking Zillow, I think is like under investigation from Department of Justice because what they started doing was they started buying like whole neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And then so they would like buy a house for, maybe it was on the market for $225,000. They'd buy it for $250,000. and then they'd buy the house next to it for 280, and then they buy the house next to that for 290, so that then they could turn around and flip the first house for 300. Because they would buy the neighborhood out at a higher price than what people were asking for, to raise the whole price of the neighborhood, to then sell it for more than it was worth.
You know, that it's shady, but you know what? I mean, good for them for fucking thinking of it. That's fucking horrifying.
It was probably technically legal, but
yeah, it's still fucked up.
Yeah, well, it's a kind of it's a form of fraud in a way. It's like you're basically you're creating a monopoly system where you own all of the property, and so you can sell it for whatever you want to sell it for. And because of that, you're selling it for more than it's worth because you bought it for more than it was worth.
Yeah.
You know.
Thanks, Zillow.
Yeah. Like I said, the house always wins. That is the thing that I keep coming back to, is like, I don't care who you vote for, to some extent. No matter who you vote for, until we figure out how to change our system, like the house always wins, and it just sucks.
Yeah.
So, and all that is to say, I would like to make a little bit more money so that even though the house continues to win, I can still pay my fucking bills.
You know, and that's where, like, I kind of became, like, that's where I was at, like, probably in 2015 when I first got my house. Like, when I was finally on my own, responsible for my shit, in a sense. I mean, I just got to the point, I was like, I don't care who's fucking running the country. Just let my taxes be fucking cheaper and let me fucking pay more fucking money.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I don't even
help
care.
me out.
Yeah, I'm in a place like I don't even care if my taxes are necessarily high. I just want something for them.
Mm-hmm.
Other than I'm so sick and tired of how much of my taxes are going to like bomb kids in Gaza, instead of like giving us universal health care like every other developed country has on the planet. You know, I have one of my guys in my so Germany, right after World War II, they are deeply restricted from placing military bases around the planet, right? Because we don't trust you. You've started 2 world wars.
That's right. You're in a fucking timeout. I get it.
Yeah, you can have a military, unlike Japan. You can have a military, but you're not allowed to put it everywhere.
Yeah.
So as a result, the U.S. has military bases all over the world. So now we're paying like $1 trillion a year out of our national budget to support all these military bases. And by the way, it's not even going to, so many military families are on food stamps because it's not even going to the military families. It's going to frickin' Rockwell Automation and Lockheed Martin and Boeing and all of the companies that make bombs, because it's a revolving door between the private sector and lobbying.
Yeah.
Anyway, Germany doesn't have to have a military all over the world, so they can pay for their health care. And so I have a guy in my congregation who is he's my music director.
Mm-hmm.
He needed dental work. His jaw is like decaying or something.
Yeah.
He has some kind of infection. And so he had to get a bone graft from his thigh into his jaw to replace what was lost. It was cheaper for him to fly to Germany, get the dental work done, recover, and then fly back than it was to get the dental work done here.
That doesn't surprise me, because I know a lot of people who go to, I don't know them, but I hear a lot of people go to Mexico for that very reason, because they get dental work done there for what would be $1,000 there is like $8,000 here after your insurance covers it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I'm finally got doctor's appointments scheduled and shit for my vacation.
Nice.
And I'm finally gonna actually, for the first time at 35 years old, I'm finally gonna have a primary care physician. And even with my insurance, I got to pay them like $180 prepay. It's like
a prepay?
Yeah.
Not even a copay, it's a prepay?
Yeah, I don't understand why. I'm going to call them tomorrow to try to figure out exactly what it is, because I thought under my insurance, like, preventative care, which to me an annual physical is preventative care. That preventative care should be covered. So I got to find out exactly what that number is, because I believe they do have my insurance information. So I'm hoping it's just one big oversight misunderstanding. But if they sit there and say like, oh, it's because you're a new patient and blah 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 blah, it's like, but this makes no fucking sense to me. Like, why am I paying if I have the insurance? You know, it's like I know the copay is $20, but this is not $20. This is 6 times, or 9 times that. You know, it's so I.
Yeah, you know, I'm a nonviolent pacifist. I do not believe that violence is the answer to anything. Other people can feel that it is the answer. That's fine. I feel like I don't even want to impose my views on somebody for that, right? But I hear these stories, I feel my own experience, and I cannot help but think that, like, the French in the late 1700s came up with a solution for all these problems, and it was the guillotine.
Mm-hmm. I think you might be the only pacifist I know that mentally like slaps people around in their fucking head on a daily basis.
Slaps people around in the head on a daily basis?
In your head. Like,
gotcha,
I think you are mentally beating the shit out of everyone in this world. You won't do it physically, but in your head is like, I have torn through people like the Punisher in that prison scene.
That is how I feel in my head a lot. Yeah. I'm just like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I forget, it was my Old Testament professor said something like, God's wrath is good news, because I am, for him, he says he's a violent, in his heart, he is a violent person. And if God was not taking care of it on God's side for wrath, that he would feel like he had to. And so he says, thank God for God's wrath, because otherwise I would have to step up and do something. And I don't want to. I know it's sinful to want to.
I think there are similar people out there that have that belief in karma.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have to do something because the universe will take care of it for me and shit.
Yeah. I'm a big, I like to say God's wrath burns hot in the hearts of the oppressed. Like, at a certain point, I look at like the riots in 2020. I look at the riots in 68. I look at the riots in the 90s. And to me, at a certain point, when violence breaks out in a crowd, to me, that's God's wrath, man. Like, people who are in those situations are not controlling themselves. They are totally sucked into the mob mentality, and whatever happens. And I don't know necessarily that it's God's will, but it is God's wrath.
Is that similar to what the group of people, was it the Egyptian slaves, and then they like start worshiping a calf and partying and shit while Moses was off in the mountains getting the commandments, and he came back and they're all pretty much just
worshiping
living life. Yeah,
broke the commandment tablets, and
yeah,
somehow God was mad at Moses for that, which is weird.
You gotta blame somebody, I guess. Yeah, I mean, look at everyone else. Fucking Jesus sacrificed.
Yep.
Well, we didn't cover.
That was a weird show. Sorry, everybody.
We didn't cover anything I wanted to cover, but we could do that in the next episode. But it's good because we got this stuff out, and I think what it is too, and what's one of my favorite things about the show, is these are things that I think we sit with, that when we can finally talk about it, we kind of get it out there.
Yeah.
There's a couple people I know. One in particular, a dear friend of mine, is going through a bout of depression right now, and the problem with them is they're just continuously holding it in.
Yeah.
And have this belief that they're always going to be depressed. And
you don't have to.
Yeah, it's just like and I know I don't believe I have ever gone through depression. Stress, yes, never depression. And I think why it is because I do talk about a majority of my problems. I mean, how we've been doing it on this show, since we kind of revamped the concept of it over a year ago.
Yeah.
It's like if I have an issue, it's just like, well, fuck it, Saturday or Thursday night or Tuesday night or whatever, I'll talk with Joe and we're gonna talk about it. And I get it out there in the world. And I'd be like, it's the same thing with the refi and the debt payoff and everything. Yes, that's personal shit in my life that some people probably think is stupid to share. But you know what? My shoulders aren't as heavy as they used to be.
Right. Well, and also, I hope as you're listening to this, I hope you're like, man, I'm going through that too. I'm glad to know I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I think so many of us are going through financial struggles or whatever, because like freaking inflation. So it's nuts, man. It's nuts. Yeah. Inflation was like 11%, and that's core inflation. That doesn't include the price of food. That doesn't include the price of housing.
Yeah.
They deliberately manipulate the numbers to make it not include the things that cost you the most.
Yeah.
And then say, oh, inflation's down to 2.5%. And it's like, no, it's not, because it's still costing me, for two of us, it's $150 a week in groceries.
Yeah.
Before COVID, it was $80. You know, and the only reason, like if you look at it, the only reason inflation went up, um it wasn't because there's more money in the thing in the world or whatever. It was because the grocery stores decided they could make a bigger profit if they raised the price.
Yeah, yeah. They
And now you got the CEO of Kellogg telling people to have cereal for dinner. Like, go fuck yourself, guy.
What was the what was the purpose of cornflakes? The original creation of cornflakes? It had to do with masturbation or some shit,
Yeah,
right?
to calm the blood so you didn't jerk
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. They should go with that fucking excuse instead of fucking having fucking cereal for dinner. I'm a huge fan of breakfast for dinner, but if I'm having breakfast for dinner, omelets, pancakes, fucking
Right?
bacon. Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
not.
even necessarily mind a bowl of cereal for dinner, but like I want that to be a choice that I make
Yeah,
because I want to make it, not because I can't afford food.
yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah, it's like
100%.
we're like one step away from being from actually him doing the same thing. Like you should have cereal for dinner. You should have cornflakes for dinner, so that you don't have as many kids. And it's just like,
There
well,
you
we know that's not true, but go off, I guess.
go. There right now, you give me a bowl of Cocoa Pebbles for dinner. I'm gonna have more kids.
Right?
Oh God, Cocoa Pebbles. Joe. Well, first off, let me ask: were you freaking drinking, or what were you freaking drinking? It's
I
probably
made
gone
a
by
French
now.
press coffee. I had Papa Nicholas coffee that I made in the French press.
Awesome.
Yeah. How about
I
you? You were having Dunkin', I
I had
saw.
coffee from Dunkin'. Yeah, I never realized how much I enjoyed Dunkin' being right down the street from me than I did this morning. They came out with these new wraps.
Oh,
Um, I've tried them all. My favorite one is like a Mexican style one. There's like a chicken one. I think there's like a veggie one. They're okay, but the Mexican one is my favorite.
nice.
I think it's called like Mexican queso or something like that. I can't remember what it is. But it's delicious. And that's what I had for breakfast this morning. I had the wrap and I grabbed my coffee. Kind of rolling into what I'm freaking thinking about is yesterday I went to a nutrition store. It's called
Oh,
Apex.
nice.
It's called Apex Nutrition up in Shorewood. It's owned by a buddy of mine named Matt Stoffel. I met him through the wrestling. He's down in South End Championship Wrestling, training to be a wrestler. He debuted, I want to say it was almost a year ago, probably this summer, I think, and fucking killing it. Awesome fucking dude, former MMA fighter and everything. And he owns a nutrition company that's 10 minutes down the road from my work.
Nice.
And I went in there a couple months ago to kind of think of like, find the things that I need, explain to him like, listen, here's my issues. This is what I want to do, this, and whatever. And he kind of pulled everything out that I needed. And I was like, cool, let me see where I am financially and I'll get back to you and everything. And then obviously all the debt bullshit, blah, blah, blah happened. So I was like, as soon as this stuff is done, I'm going to go, excuse me, I'm going to go in. And I messaged him on Wednesday. I was like, hey, you gonna be at work on Friday? He said, yes. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking be there. And I went in and he helped me get better protein than the stuff I have because the protein apparently I've been having is more of a filler protein than anything else. So I got powdered protein. I got vanilla this time, so I'm really excited to try because I've always been chocolate.
Nice.
But I got that because I know I can mix that with like smoothies and have like,
Mm.
because a chocolate strawberry smoothie doesn't sound appealing to me, but a vanilla strawberry smoothie with Greek yogurt stuff sounds fantastic.
Oh, so good.
I got supplements to help boost thermogenetics because I'm a huge believer in thermogenetics and raising the internal body temperature of your core to help burn fat. Um, there's a picture of everything I purchased from him up on our Instagram and our Facebook and all that stuff. You guys can look at it if you want. But I got protein. I had this L-carnitine, which is supposed to help burn fat. The thermogenetic supplement that's supposed to help burn fat, and also it's kind of, I don't know if it's like if it's a pre-workout or it's just a supplement, but it's supposed to help with energy. Because again,
Gotcha.
when I wake up in the morning, I'm just exhausted. I feel like dog shit during the weekdays. Again, weekend, I woke up this morning fine. But if I could wake up in the morning and maybe take a drink of that or something like that, and it kind of helps me, it's a natural energy. Then you know what, perfect. Then that will kind of help me. So I was talking to him. I was telling him, hey, Sunday, my plan is to kind of get back into a good, healthy lifestyle. I want to do more clean eating. Um, I still won't have my fridge till Thursday. So from Sunday to Thursday, I'm gonna have to find alternative ways to eat that's not shitty. Um, but following that, like I'm gonna go shopping. I'm gonna get a lot of fucking vegetables. I'm gonna find out. I think my mom has a chicken guy. See if I can stock up on some chicken breast, and
Nice.
I'm gonna try to focus on eating a lot more chicken and maybe some rice. I know low carb works for me. I don't think it has to be keto, but I think it has to be low carb. But I still want to get some brown rice in me because complex carbs are important. They help fill you up, so it's gonna help me limit my eating. I think staying away from sweets are obviously going to be my big thing. I'm also going to try to stay away from soda, even sugar-free soda. Focus more on waters and teas. And the biggest thing, which I know is going to be the biggest struggle, especially doing all this, is decrease and ultimately quit smoking.
Nice.
Um, like I said, like ever since Wednesday, I just mentally felt better, just because I don't have that financial burden anymore, and now I gotta get rid of the excess weight that falls below my shoulders. So,
Nice.
yeah. So Sunday I'm going to start DDPY. I'm going to, start focusing on like what kind of meals I need to make and everything. And hopefully by my 36th birthday next May, by then, I hope to be in better shape, probably even the best shape of my life, and also go through the training I need to finally have that one wrestling match I want to have. Um, And you know, Matt's a cool dude. He said that if I ever need anything, just to reach out to him and ask him, and I'm going to definitely do that. And we might actually sometime, I'm gonna hope this summer, have him on the show to talk about nutrition, talk about his store, his history in fitness and MMA, and a little bit of the wrestling. But he's a cool fucking dude. And I told him like, yeah, man, I want you to come on. We'll talk about your store. We'll promote it. It's Sherwood Fitness. If you go to our Facebook page and find the post, it's the most recent post. It says Matt Stoffel, Sherwood Fitness. His Facebook is linked in that post, and the address and everything is right there. It's right off 59th. It's off of 59th. I don't remember what the hell it's called. Whatever. It's in Sherwood. He's an amazing fucking dude, and he's helpful. He's informative. And I told him to come on. We'll talk about his store, and then if you have any questions for him, he can answer. And if I have any more, I can ask him too. Solid fucking dude. And I do want to get David on too. I know we talked about that. I want to get David back
Oh
on
yeah,
here and
absolutely.
talk with him too. What are you? What are you freaking thinking about?
So I just in sort of amidst everything else that I've had going on, I don't know. Oh yeah, that's probably why I'm so expressive about it. So I don't remember if I've talked about this on the show or not yet, but like, so I was on about 5 years ago. I got onto an anti-anxiety medicine because like summer and fall of 2018, I was doing chaplaincy for my degree.
Mhm.
And then while I was doing chaplaincy, my childhood dog was put down, and like I watched it happen on FaceTime. And then Grandpa died immediately after my chaplaincy ended, and then later that fall, my godfather died, my uncle Chris, my mom's brother, and it was a lot. And I was finishing seminary, and I was starting a new job, and I was writing this thesis on intergenerational trauma, which required a lot of like Holocaust studies stuff. And so it was a lot. I had a lot going on, and so I got onto an anti-anxiety to help, mitigate that, help
Yeah.
calm it down. And I've been in this job for 5 years. Things feel safe for the first time in 5 years, and COVID is more or less over. I mean, it's still around, but like fewer people seem to be getting it and dying from it and everything. And um, I'm feeling relaxed and safe. So anyway, for the last month and a half, I was tapering off because you can't just stop it. You got to taper off. And as a result, my emotions are a lot stronger than they were. I didn't realize how much. So like it was Zoloft, basically. It was
Yeah.
generic Zoloft, and so it kind of tamps everything down. It just kind of evens you out. And so the highs aren't as high, the lows aren't as low.
Wow.
And I did not realize how many highs I was missing out on. I don't mean that in terms of like doing drugs or whatever, but like, man, I tell you, like, exercise feels so good now. Seeing a sunrise feels incredible. I am like
Euphoric.
euphoric. I didn't know how unhappy it was making me to not feel happiness as strongly as I could feel it.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, there have been a couple of times where like the lows have gotten to me a lot harder because I could feel them again. But like, I have so much more highs. I'm so much happier now because of it. So like, despite all of the frustrations that I just spent the last hour and a half, hour or so venting, like I'm venting because I can feel them again. But
Yeah.
I promise you, everything is so much better now. I'm so much happier. I'm so much like getting out of bed in the morning is a joy in a way that it hasn't been in 5 years because I just couldn't feel it. I legitimately, it was keeping me from feeling it. And that isn't to say I'm glad I was on it. If you need it, it's good. It's good to be on it if you need it because like the lows I was feeling when I got onto it were so low that I was never having any highs, right? There were no mountains, there were no peaks, it was all valleys. And now I'm in a place where there are some valleys, but there's so many more peaks. And I'm so happy to be able to feel them. And it's made all the difference. I'm more motivated to go to work. Just despite feeling like I'm not paid enough. I'm happier to go to work. I'm happier to get my work done. I'm happier to interact with people. Man, it's just been great. It's just been great. So,
Awesome,
if you're on an SSRI and you feel like it's time to get off of it, talk to your doctor, talk to your therapist. Like maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to get off of it. If it's not, that's okay too. There's no judgment. No judgment. If you need it, you need it. It's important, right? Like before I got on it, I was having I've had probably one whole pack of cigarettes in my whole life. Like over the course of my life. And I would say fully half of it was in that stretch of time from when Grandpa died to when I got on the SSRI. Because I was just struggling so hard that little burst of stimulant caffeine, nicotine was like, once a week, it made a huge difference in my life. I went through probably, God, 3 or 4 fifths of whiskey in that 6-month period. Like I'm not a big drinker. Literally, I started the Zoloft. I have not needed a cigarette. I have not wanted a cigarette. I have not needed a drink. I've wanted a drink from time to time, and it's fine. But like, I haven't needed to cope.
Yeah.
And so coming off of it, it's like it's great, but like I needed it. I needed it at the time. It was healthier to be on it. It was good to be on it. I talked with my therapist. I talked with my doctor before I got on it. Like, don't just do it. But like, I want to encourage you to get help if you need it because it helps. The help helps.
Yeah.
And if you've been on it for a while and you're starting to feel like, hey, maybe I'm in a place where I don't need it anymore. Consider talking to your therapist, your doctor about getting off of it. Because like, it's been great. So anyway.
No, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that. And
yeah, that's what's been on my mind.
and I think that's a good message to people is like, if you need it 100%, use it for what it is and everything. Definitely, if you are to take prescription medication, make sure it is prescribed to you.
Yeah, don't just take it.
Yeah, don't buy it on the streets because you don't know what the fuck you're getting. Stick to what the doses are, and if doses aren't working, talk to your doctor
100%.
about it not. Because I know there are people like, well, I'm only supposed to take 1 a day, but I don't think it's working, so I'll just take 2, and then 2 turn to 3, and stuff like that. So obviously, be responsible with it.
Yeah.
Just don't use those unhealthy crutches that people think is benefits smoking and drinking and narcotic use. I don't want to say drug use because marijuana being a drug, I don't want to rope it into like cocaine and meth and shit like that. So a narcotic use and stuff like that, used to prescribed by your doctor's doses. And yes, talk to people. What we're doing here, talking to you guys. We are no different than you. I mean, we're not celebrities. We're normal people just like you with fucking problems that, hey, we'll talk about Clint. Clint's the biggest reason why we do it this way. Because we're able to talk to him about anxiety and issues and shit like that. And he said himself, like, it's awesome to be able to vent it out like this. So thanks, Clint, for, pretty much making this freaking show what it is right now. But yeah. Next week or next episode, whenever you guys decide to listen to it, we're going to talk about the change in the Minnesota flag. We're going to talk about everything that's happening in 2024 because it seems like a lot of shit's happening both in nature and in the world. I'm going to try avoiding the politics stuff because that's just depressing.
Okay,
And
fair enough. Yeah,
I'm
it
not
is.
I'm not informative too much of it to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
one really funny thing about it, just to throw it in, I think it's hilarious that so the DNC just announced that they're going to be partially remote and online because they're afraid of riots in Chicago. And I'm just like, you cowards.
Fucking monsters. And I'm going to ask you on your opinion on Flirt. So,
Flirt. All right.
Yes. So make sure you follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, just by searching This Freaking Show. You can find all of our audio wherever you listen to on any platform. Just search This Freaking Show. Make sure you subscribe to us, rate us if it asks us. And if you want to catch the video format of our show, you can catch it over on YouTube at our Freaknet Studios YouTube channel. Guys, that's all I got. As always, I'm Travesty.
I'm Cartoon Joe.
And thank you for listening to another episode of This Freaking Show. I'm out.